The quiet comeback, rebuilding yourself when no one believes in you. Full audiobook, when you've been counted out and doubted. Your silence becomes your training ground for an unstoppable return. You have been counted out. Written off. The world has placed its bets and you are not on the board. But this silence, this emptiness you feel, it is not your tomb. It is your training ground. This is not a book about proving them wrong. This is a book about building a version of yourself so solid, so undeniable that their opinions become irrelevant. Your comeback begins not with a roar, but with a decision. A decision to turn your back on the noise and build in the quiet. Listen now. Your training begins. You feel it, don't you? That gnawing need to be let in, to be chosen. To finally get the nod from the boss, the parent, the critic, the inner circle that has always looked past you. You're polishing your resume, rehearsing your arguments, trying to make yourself more appealing, more acceptable to their standards. I need you to hear this, and hear it clearly. You are begging for a seat at a table that was never meant for you, and every second you spend trying to prove your worth to them is a second you are stealing from building a table of your own. This chapter is about the single most important decision you will make on this comeback journey. The decision to stop begging and to start building. Let's start by shattering the grand illusion. The illusion of inclusion. You have been sold a lie your entire life. The lie that external validation is the same thing as internal success. That the approval of others is the finish line. It is not. It is a trap. Think about the employee who works late every night, not for the love of the work, but for the desperate hope of a good job from a dismissive boss. That good job never comes. Or if it does, it's a crumb. It's never enough. So they work later. They take on more. They make themselves smaller, more agreeable, more acceptable. And they become dependent on that crumb. It's the fuel that keeps their engine running. But it's a weak fuel. It's a fuel that someone else controls. That's the key. When you outsource your sense of worth, you give someone else the remote control to your entire emotional state. You are handing them the power to make you feel successful or worthless with a single word, a single glance. And I ask you, is that power? To be a puppet waiting for your master's applause? No, that is the definition of dependency. It keeps you small. It keeps you manageable. It keeps you right where you are. You have a choice. You can continue to wait for a validation that may never come, or you can recognize the illusion for what it is, a distraction from your true work. And what is that true work? It's understanding that your focus is your currency. Your attention is the most valuable asset you possess. It is not infinite. You have a limited amount of mental energy, of creative power, of sheer will every single day. And right now, you are spending that currency on a losing investment. You are investing your focus in the opinions of people who are not invested in you. Let me make this brutally simple. Every minute you spend agonizing over a critical comment is a minute you did not spend honing your skill. Every hour you spend trying to craft the perfect response to a doubter is an hour you did not spend building your plan. Every day you spend seeking approval is a day you did not spend laying the foundation for your own empire. You are literally funding your own stagnation with your most valuable resource. So, what is the alternative? The command is simple, and I need you to repeat it to yourself until it's etched into your bones. Stop looking for fans and start building your fortress. A fan is fickle. A fan claps today and boos tomorrow. A fortress is permanent. A fortress is built by you for you. It stands regardless of the weather outside. Your focus, your energy, your currency, it all needs to be diverted from the stands and poured into the construction site. Your construction site. This leads to the most powerful, tangible shift you can make starting today. The power of the closed door. Withdrawal is not weakness. Secrecy is not shame. Closing the door, both physically and mentally, on the noise of the world is an act of supreme strength. It is you declaring that what is happening inside this room is more important than anything happening outside of it. Think of the entrepreneur who spent months pitching his idea to friends, to family, at networking events. He was met with skepticism. That will never work. Are you sure? Maybe you should get a real job. He was draining his energy, defending an idea that wasn't even fully formed yet. He was trying to convince people who had no vision. So he stopped. He closed the door. He told no one. He turned off the notifications. For 6 months, he spoke to no one about his business. He just built. He coded, he designed, he solved problems. The silence was deafening at first, but then it became his sanctuary. In that silence, without the static of outside opinions, he could finally hear his own voice. He could hear the voice of his mission, and when he finally emerged, he didn't have a pitch. He had a product, he had customers, he had results. The very same people who were skeptical were now asking him for advice. He didn't need to beg for a seat at their table. He had built a better one, and now they wanted an invitation to his. You don't need their permission to be great. You only need your own focus and a door you are willing to close. The closed door is where your power consolidates. It is where your focus becomes laser sharp. It is where you stop leaking your energy out into the world and start channeling it all back into yourself. This is your first and most critical mission. Stop the leak. Turn your focus inward. The world will try to distract you. It will dangle the carrot of approval in front of you. Your job is to see it for the distraction it is and turn away. Stop begging. Stop explaining. Stop seeking. Close the door. Take your currency, your focus, and invest it in the only project that matters, you. Start building your fortress, brick by silent, determined brick. You've closed the door on their noise. Now you must master the environment you've created. You must learn to use the silence itself as your ultimate weapon. Chapter 2. Your silence is your strategy. Loudest person in the room is rarely the strongest. The one who says the least often holds the most power. That's not an accident. That's strategy. You've been taught that silence is weakness. That if you don't speak, you'll be forgotten. But the truth? Silence is control. Silence is focus. Silence is the sound of power collecting itself. When you stop broadcasting your every move, you stop bleeding energy. When you stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand your vision, you reclaim your strength. That's the key. The world today is addicted to noise. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone's shouting opinions, flaunting half-finished ideas, begging for validation from strangers who don't even remember what they scrolled past 10 seconds ago. And in that chaos, the disciplined few stay silent, not because they have nothing to say, but because they're busy building something worth saying. You have to understand this. Intentional silence is not retreat. It's attack. It's how you sharpen your blade while everyone else is dulling theirs. It's how you train your focus when the world is addicted to distraction. Mute the world to hear your own voice. That's where clarity lives. That's where peace hides. That's where you'll find direction, not in the comments, not in the opinions, not in the endless scrolling, but in stillness. When you talk too much about what you're doing, you release pressure. You give your mind a false sense of accomplishment before you've earned it. You get dopamine from attention instead of results from action. That's why you keep starting but never finishing, because you confuse talking about your goals with chasing them. So stop announcing. Start executing. Stop sharing. Start shaping. Stop broadcasting the process. Start building the product. You don't need their applause. You don't need their validation. You don't need their permission. That's the discipline. That's the difference between noise and progress. Think about the athlete who disappears. For a year, no interviews. No updates, just sweat, repetition, and solitude. Then one day, he walks back into the arena, stronger, sharper, unstoppable. Everyone wonders, where did that come from? It came from the shadows. It came from silence. It came from obsession without announcement. The masterpiece is built in the shadows. Say it again. The masterpiece is built in the shadows. You don't owe anyone an explanation for the quiet. Seasons of your life, you're not disappearing and you're developing. You're not avoiding people. You're avoiding distraction. You're not being antisocial. You're being strategic. Every time you keep your head down while others talk, you're storing energy. You're letting your actions become your voice and your results. They'll speak volumes louder than your words ever could. But here's what most people don't realize. Silence takes discipline. It's not natural to pull away from the noise. It's not easy to stop defending yourself when misunderstood. It takes strength to choose focus over validation. You'll want to explain yourself. You'll want to prove them wrong. You'll want to respond, to argue, to justify. Don't. Every word you throw into that fire feeds the wrong thing. Ego, not excellence. You're wasting emotional energy on battles that don't pay you back. Reclaim that energy. Redirect it. Every ounce of energy you spend on defending yourself is energy stolen from your destiny. Every time you explain your plan, you drain your power. So stop explaining. Start executing. That's your new rule. No explanations. No defenses. No validation. Here's your challenge. Your 7-day explanation fast. For the next week, stop explaining your decisions. Stop over-justifying your goals. If someone doesn't understand what you're doing, let them stay confused. If they question your focus, smile. If they mock your quiet, let them. You're not here to convince. You're here to conquer. Every time you feel the urge to explain, pause, breathe. Ask yourself, do I need their approval to do what I already know is right? The answer is always no. Let your silence make them wonder. Let your work make them respect you. Let your results make them speechless. You see, silence doesn't mean absence. It means presence. Presence with your purpose, your craft, your mission. It's how you create depth in a shallow world. In silence, you'll start hearing something new, your own thoughts, unfiltered. You'll start catching your inner voice, that quiet guide that's been buried under years of noise. You'll start trusting your intuition again. And once you trust it, once you build that relationship with your inner voice, you'll never need to seek permission again. You'll know what to do, because you've learned how to listen. That's where the transformation begins, not in another motivational quote, not in another online argument, but in silence, intentional, disciplined silence. The world measures power by volume, but real power doesn't shout. It moves quietly. It doesn't post every step. It just appears with results. It doesn't beg for validation. It commands respect. So stay silent when they talk. Stay calm when they provoke. Stay focused when they doubt. Because one day, when your results speak, they'll realize why you were quiet, and you won't need to say, "I told you so." Your success will do the talking. The masterpiece is built in the shadows. Never forget that. You're building yours now. Every day you stay silent. Every day you stay consistent. Every day you choose focus over noise. Your silence is not empty. It's full of work, full of energy, full of momentum. Silence isn't retreat. It's strategy. And the world will only see what you've been preparing when it's ready to be revealed. So hold your ground. Keep your focus. Mute the world and build in peace. Because Soon, the silence will break. And when it does, the noise will never be the same again. You've learned the power of silence. Now let's take it further. You've withdrawn your energy from the noise. It's time to direct that power somewhere unstoppable. Chapter 3, The Unshakable Core. Forging your inner citadel. Silence is your strategy. The door is closed. But what happens now in the quiet? What do you build in this space you've so fiercely protected? You don't just build a plan. You don't just build a skill. You build a citadel. An inner fortress so strong, so unassailable, that no external storm, no doubt, no rejection, no failure, can ever breach its walls again. A comeback is not a single event. It is the emergence of a person who can no longer be knocked down. This chapter is about forging that person, brick by brick. This is about building your unshakable core. The first brick, the foundation of everything, is this. Define your non-negotiables. We all have values, integrity, hard work, family, but these are abstract. They are ideas. In the heat of the moment, ideas can bend. Ideas can be compromised. What you need are not ideas. You need codes of conduct. You need ironclad rules for how you will operate, regardless of how you feel or what pressure you face. Let's make this real. Think of someone rebuilding their life after a profound betrayal. They feel shattered. Their trust is gone. They could have a value like, be more cautious. That's weak. It's negotiable. Instead, they define a non-negotiable. I keep my word to myself, above all else. Do you see the difference? It's a command. It's actionable. If they say they will go to the gym, they go. If they commit to not checking an ex's social media, they don't. Every time they honor that promise to themselves, they lay another brick. They prove to themselves with action that they are reliable, that they can be trusted, that they are in command. You have a choice. You can float through life on the shifting winds of emotion and external opinion, or you can hammer in your own stakes. Your non-negotiables are those stakes. They are not up for debate. They are not dependent on your mood. They are the law in your inner kingdom. And the first law must always be the promise you make to yourself. But a law is nothing without enforcement. A blueprint is nothing without the daily labor to make it real. This is where we put on our work clothes. This is where we build emotional armor through ritual. Your willpower is a finite resource. It depletes. You cannot rely on feeling motivated to build your comeback. You will not feel motivated every day. So you must build systems that operate regardless of how you feel. These systems are your rituals. Your morning routine is not about productivity. It is a ritual. It is the daily reaffirmation of your control. Waking up at the same time, hydrating, moving your body, reading for 10 minutes. These are not tasks. They are bricks. Each one is a declaration. I am in charge here. Your dedicated learning block. 1 hour, no phone, deep focus on a new skill that is not just studying. It is a ritual. It is you forging a new, more capable version of yourself in the fire of your own discipline. Your physical training is not about vanity. It is a ritual. It is you communicating to your body and mind through sweat and strain that you are strong, you are resilient, and you can endure hardship. Your discipline is your dignity. Repeat that. Your discipline is your dignity. Every time you complete a ritual you committed to, you earn self-respect. You look in the mirror and you see someone who does what they say they will do. That feeling of self-respect is the strongest emotional armor in the world. It is thicker than any compliment, more durable than any trophy. It is armor that is grown from the inside out. It's not about feeling like it, it's about doing it. The ritual is the thing. The action is the truth. The feeling of dignity is the reward that follows. Now, with your non-negotiables as your law and your rituals as your daily labor, we come to the central pillar of your citadel, the anchor of self-belief. But how? How do you believe in yourself when you have no evidence? When your past is a record of failures and your present is a blank slate. You don't wait for evidence. You don't wait for a sign. You manufacture the evidence yourself. You use the act as if principle. You do not wait to feel like a successful person to do the things a successful person does. You do the things a successful person does, and the feeling of being successful follows. You act as if you are the person who has already achieved the goal. You need to believe you are disciplined. Don't wait to feel disciplined. Act as if. Get out of bed the moment the alarm goes off. As if you are a disciplined person. You need to believe you are a capable learner. Don't wait for confidence. Act as if. Sit down and study for that hour. As if you are a capable learner. You need to believe you are worthy of respect. Act as if. Set that boundary. Speak with conviction. As if you are a person who commands respect. That's the key. Action creates evidence. Evidence builds belief. You are creating a new data set for your brain. You are rewiring your identity from the outside in. Every single as-if action is a brick in the pillar of your self-belief. It doesn't matter if it feels fake at first. The action is real. The result of that action, the completed task, the new knowledge, the enforced boundary, is real. And that reality is what your new belief will be built upon. You don't need their permission to believe in yourself. You only need your own actions. Your non-negotiables are your foundation. Your rituals are the walls of your citadel. And your self-belief, forged through acting as if, is the unshakable flag flying high above it, declaring to the world and most importantly to yourself that you are here. You are built. And you are not going anywhere. Your inner citadel is secure. You have a code. You have armor. You have belief. But a fortress is not just for defense. It's a launch pad. Now we turn to the fuel that will propel you forward. A fuel you already possess in abundance, hidden in the very doubts you've been running from. Chapter 4. The fuel of friction. Using doubt as your propellant. Every time someone doubts you, they hand you fuel. Every rejection. Every skeptical glance. Every whispered, "You can't." That's not resistance. That's energy. Most people take doubt personally. You take it productively. That's the shift. That's the key. Because life will not hand you permission slips. It will hand you friction. It will hand you disbelief. It will hand you walls. And then wait to see if you climb. You have a choice. You can crumble under it. Or you can let it light a fire so hot that even your scars become strength. You've been told friction is a problem. That rejection means you're not ready. That failure means you should stop. No friction is fuel. Resistance is the signal that you're pushing in the right direction. No one doubts what's ordinary. People doubt what's different, what's daring, what's destined. When people doubt you, it's not proof that you're weak. It's proof that you're doing something new. That's the rule. The greater the resistance, the greater the relevance. Let's reframe this. Every no you've ever heard is a spark. Every laugh behind your back is a reminder. Every eye roll is oxygen for your fire. You don't fight doubt with emotion. You feed off it with execution. Let their disbelief become your discipline. Let their criticism become your curriculum. You don't need their approval to validate your direction. You don't need their belief to begin. You just need to move. That's the discipline. That's the difference. Let's make this personal. Think about every time you were told you weren't enough. Not smart enough. Not talented enough. Not ready. Remember that sting. Hold it. Now, convert it. That's not pain. That's raw power. That's your fuel of friction. When J.K. Rowling was rejected, not once, but 12 times, and she didn't crumble. She didn't beg for validation. She built Harry Potter. Each rejection letter became a spark. Each no became proof that she was still in the fight. She didn't let the world's disbelief define her limits. She used it to define her legacy. You can do the same. But you have to make a decision. Will doubt drain you or will it drive you? Now here's your exercise. I call it the "they were wrong" file. Create it today. Mentally or physically, start collecting every single instance where you were underestimated, dismissed, ignored, doubted, or laughed at. Write it down. Every name, every comment, every smirk. That's your data. That's your evidence. Not of your weakness, but of your trajectory. Each of those moments is a data point for success. Say it with me. Let their doubt be my data point for success. Every time someone says, "You can't," you log it. Every time someone underestimates you, you file it. Every time life throws friction at you, you record it, then you go to work, you keep showing up, you keep proving, not to them, to yourself, because one day, you'll open that file and realize something. Every person who doubted you was an unpaid contributor to your success story. They gave you something priceless. Pressure. And pressure, when harnessed, creates power. You see, a diamond isn't born from ease. It's born from stress. It's born from compression, heat, and relentless tension. Coal doesn't complain about pressure. Coal transforms under it. You are that coal. Your life, your pain, your setbacks, they're the forge, the friction, the rejection, the doubt, that's the hammer. And every time you choose to keep going, every time you choose to execute instead of explain, the hammer falls again, shaping you, hardening you, refining you. That's what strength actually looks like. Not perfection, not applause, endurance, pressure. Transformation. Don't run from friction and run into it. Don't avoid the doubt. Absorb it. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need the discipline to believe in yourself long enough for the results to become undeniable. Every doubter is a gift. Every rejection is redirection. Every barrier is a test. How bad do you really want this? Because if a few opinions can stop you, you were never serious. If one setback can shake you, you were never ready. But if friction only fuels you, you've already won. That's the key. You don't rise despite the resistance. You rise because of it. When you feel the weight of doubt, don't get emotional. Get intentional. Ask yourself, what am I going to build with this energy? Turn the rejection into reps. Turn the insult into hours. Turn the disbelief into domination. You have a choice. You can be offended, or you can be forged. One creates excuses, the other creates excellence. That's the truth most people avoid. Greatness requires resistance. Without it, you stay soft. Without it, you stay average. Without it, you stay the same. The forge doesn't feel good. It burns. But what comes out of it can't be broken. That's you. So the next time you're doubted, thank them. Thank the person who said you'd fail. Thank the opportunity that didn't call you back. Thank the rejection that pushed you to evolve. Because without their disbelief, you might have settled. Without that no, you might have stayed comfortable. And comfort kills more dreams than rejection ever. Without friction builds momentum, doubt builds determination, rejection builds resilience. The soul, world's resistance is the universe's way of asking, are you serious? Your answer is not words, it's action, it's results, it's relentless execution. Remember this. Every ounce of doubt you collect becomes fuel. Every ounce of friction becomes fire. Every time they underestimate you, your potential compounds. Let their doubt be your data point for success. Say it again. Let their doubt be your data point for success. One day, when your name stands where they said it never would, they'll realize what their disbelief created, not your downfall, but your drive. You don't need to prove them wrong with words. You prove them wrong with who you become. So take everything that's been used against you, the doubt, the delay, the rejection, and feed it to your purpose, because every no you've ever received is just a spark waiting for your strike. Friction isn't failure, it's fire, it's fuel. And if you learn how to use it, you'll never run out of power again. You've learned to use doubt as your propellant. Now it's time to turn that fire inward. You've burned the doubt. Now let's forge the focus. Chapter 5. Action is the antidote to anxiety. You can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into one. That's the truth. Most people never accept. They sit, they plan, they analyze, they wait for clarity. And while they wait, fear grows roots. You don't beat anxiety by thinking harder. You beat it by moving. Motion trumps emotion every single time. That's the key. You can't overthink your way out of overthinking. You can't plan your way out of paralysis. You can't wish your way into confidence. Action, not analysis, is what changes the chemistry of your life, because anxiety lives in hesitation. It feeds on delay. It multiplies in the gap between what you know you should do and what you actually do. You have a choice. You can stay in your head, replaying fears, or you can step forward, even 1 inch, and start changing your state. Anxiety hates movement. It can't survive in momentum. That's the secret most people miss. You don't need to feel ready to act. You act to feel ready. Think about it. How many times have you waited to feel motivated, to feel inspired, to feel confident enough? That's the trap, because feelings follow action. They don't lead it. Confidence isn't the cause of action. It's the result of it. Courage doesn't appear before the step. It's built by the step. You don't need another plan. You don't need another opinion. You need movement. That's how change begins. Not with a thought, but with a step. Let's make it real. Right now. There's something you've been putting off. You know exactly what it is. It's been sitting in your head, rent-free, draining your energy. You've imagined it, feared it, talked about it, but haven't moved on it. That's where anxiety is born. In the space between intention and execution. The longer you delay, the louder your mind becomes. The cure is simple. Start moving. The moment you take a single action, send the email, clean the room, write the line, make the call, your brain shifts from fear to focus. That's how you rewire yourself. Not with affirmations, but with action. Action is therapy. Action is clarity. Action is the antidote to anxiety. Now I want you to adopt a weapon, a simple, ruthless strategy I call the 5-minute rule. Here's how it works. When you're stuck, when your mind screams, "I don't feel like it," you make one commitment, just 5 minutes. Work on the task for 5 minutes. That's it. No pressure to finish, no requirement to feel inspired. Just 5 minutes of movement, because once you start, momentum takes over. That's the secret of motion. It builds itself. Most people wait for motivation. The disciplined ones create it, and they create it through movement. That's the key. You don't need motivation to start. You need motion to find it. Try it today. Set a timer. 5 minutes of writing, 5 minutes of cleaning, 5 minutes of calling that client or reading that book or hitting the gym. You'll be shocked at how often 5 minutes turns into 30, because action is contagious. It multiplies itself. You break inertia once, and it starts working for you. That's how you escape the spiral of anxiety. You don't talk yourself out of fear. You act your way out of it. Let's talk about identity. There are 2 kinds of people in this world: discussers and doers. Discussers live in ideas. They talk. They dream. They speculate. They fill notebooks with plans that never see daylight. doers. They move, they start small, they make mistakes, they learn by doing, not by debating. Discussers report intentions, doers report results. Which are you? Be honest. If you spend more time describing what you will do than actually doing it, you've built a habit of delay, not progress. You've built comfort in conversation, not courage in creation. You have a choice. You can stay a planner, or you can become a performer. You can stay behind the curtain, or you can step into the spotlight. The time for scripts is over. Drop the script and step on stage. That's your new mantra. Say it again. Drop the script and step on stage. Because life isn't happening in your notes. It's happening in your moves. You don't need a perfect plan. You need proof, and proof comes from practice. You don't need certainty. You need courage, and courage comes from doing, not doubting. Every small action is a brick. Every brick builds momentum, and momentum builds mastery. Stop waiting for the path to clear. Build it with your steps. Stop waiting for the fear to fade. Walk through it until it does. That's how transformation happens. Not by thinking about it, but by living it. You can read 100 books. You can listen to 1,000 podcasts. But until you act, nothing changes. Knowledge without execution is paralysis disguised as preparation. It's not about learning more. It's about doing more with what you already know. That's discipline. That's ownership. Now, let's talk about the moments when you don't feel like moving. The heavy mornings. The anxious nights. The low-energy hours when your brain says, not today. Those are the moments that define you. That's when winners separate from wishers. You have a choice. Obey the feeling or honor the mission. Discipline isn't about feeling like it. It's about doing it, especially when you don't. That's how you break anxiety's grip. You act while afraid. You move through the fog. You take the step, because clarity comes after movement, not before it. Stop asking for motivation. Stop waiting for calm. Start moving. And you'll notice something miraculous. The anxiety shrinks with every step. That's your proof. Here's the truth. The more you act, the less you fear. The less you act, the more you overthink. Every day, you're either reinforcing courage or reinforcing fear. Every decision is a rep. One builds anxiety. The other builds action. You choose. Stop giving energy to hesitation. Feed the fire of movement. Feed the habit of doing. The goal is not perfection. It's momentum. Because momentum, once created, becomes your greatest ally. That's how people transform their lives, one act at a time. Not with massive leaps, but with consistent movement. Not with emotion, but with execution. Remember this. You don't need to feel good to take action. You take action to feel good. You don't need to think less to worry. Less, you need to move more. You can't think your way into a new life. You can only act your way there. So, drop the excuses, drop the waiting, drop the endless planning, drop the script and step on stage. Because life rewards movement, not intention. That's the law. That's the cure. That's the antidote. You've learned that action is the antidote to anxiety. Now it's time to master the next level of power. The inner calm that amplifies every move you make. Chapter 6. Own your scars. The unfair advantage of your past. Every scar tells a story, not the story of your defeat, the story of your survival, not of what broke you, but of what built you. You've been through things that others wouldn't even understand. You've seen doors slammed in your face. You've been rejected, overlooked, betrayed. You've carried disappointment like a second skin. And yet, you're still here, still standing, still fighting. That means something. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Your past is not a liability. It's leverage. Your pain is not punishment. It's preparation. You've been given an education that no classroom could ever provide. You've earned a degree in perseverance, a master's in self-control, and a PhD in getting back up when life knocks you flat. But here's the truth. Most people waste their pain. They replay it. They relive it. They resent it. They let the past become a cage, not a classroom. You have a choice. You can carry your scars as shame or as symbols of strength. You can hide them, or you can own them. That's the key. Your wounds are your wisdom. Every failure you've experienced has been your teacher. Every heartbreak was a lecture. Every mistake an exam. And if you were paying attention, the lessons are still waiting for you. That business that collapsed, it taught you how to read warning signs. That friend who betrayed you, they taught you the power of discernment. That relationship that drained you, it showed you the cost of self-abandonment. You see, pain doesn't just hurt, it instructs, but only if you're willing to listen. There's a reason the strongest leaders, the most resilient minds, and the calmest souls have all walked through hell. They didn't escape pain, they understood it. They studied it. They learned how to use it. They didn't say, "Why me?" They said, "What for?" You have to reframe your past as your personal training ground. Your scars are not evidence of weakness. They're proof of adaptation. Each one marks a point where you could have broken but didn't. When you look in the mirror, don't just see the mistakes. See the mileage. See the experience. See the person who's been refined by fire and still refuses to quit. You've already paid the price for your pain. Don't let it go to waste. Use it. The alchemy of pain is raw energy. You can't destroy it, but you can redirect it. You can transmute it, turn it into drive, clarity, and conviction. Here's the process. Step 1. Acknowledge the wound. Stop pretending you weren't hurt. Stop burying it under busyness. Feel it. Face it. Name it. What happened to you happened. That's reality, not weakness. Step 2. Extract the lesson. Ask yourself, what did this pain teach me that comfort never could? Maybe it taught you boundaries. Maybe it showed you who's real. Maybe it revealed what matters most. Every scar has data. Extract it. Step 3. Apply it forward. This is where transformation happens. You take the knowledge and you put it to work. You change your behavior. You adjust your aim. You move differently. That's alchemy, turning pain into purpose. Because here's the thing. If you don't use your pain, it uses you. It keeps you reactive, bitter, small. But when you learn from it, you become proactive, powerful, and wise. The wound becomes your compass. It points to the places you once ignored. It exposes your blind spots. It gives you the gift of depth. And depth is where mastery lives. You don't need to erase your scars. You need to understand them. They're your proof of evolution. The wound is where the wisdom enters. No more victim. Only student victimhood is a mindset, not a circumstance. You can't control what happened, but you can control what it means. The victim says, "This broke me." The student says, "This built me." The victim says, "They ruined my trust." The student says, "Now I know who to trust." The victim says, "Life isn't fair." The student says, "Life is training me." You have to decide which one you'll be, victim or student, because both live inside you. The one you feed becomes your future. You don't need their apology. You don't need their validation. You don't even need closure. What you need is ownership. Own the story. Own the pain. Own the growth. Every time you say, "This happened for me, not to me," you take your power back. Every time you refuse to play small just because the past was painful, you reclaim territory that pain once owned. That's how winners are made. Not in comfort, but in chaos. not in perfection, but in persistence. Remember this. It's not about the scars. It's about the strength behind them. It's not about the pain. It's about what you built through it. It's not about being lucky. It's about being unbreakable. The power of reframing. Let's do a reality check. You've already survived 100% of your worst days. That means you're undefeated. So far as stop wishing your past was different. Start realizing it's the exact path you needed to build the mindset you're developing right now. Those nights of doubt, they built your endurance. Those failures, they built your humility. Those losses, they built your hunger. The things that were meant to destroy you were actually shaping your weapon. They didn't weaken you. They warned you. They didn't limit you. They launched you. That's the truth. No one tells you. Your past is your unfair advantage. While others were coasting, you were grinding. While others were distracted, you were enduring. You were in training, not punishment. That's why your future belongs to you. Because you've been tempered in the fire that most people run from. You don't need a perfect story. You need a true one, and your story and the scars and all is already more powerful than you realize. So from now on, stop covering your scars. Display them, not as wounds but as weapons. Each one says, I've been through it, and I'm still here. That's the ultimate flex. That's the ultimate freedom. The wound is where the wisdom enters. The pain is where the strength is born. And the past? The past is not your prison. It's your proof. You've mastered your scars. Now it's time to master your circle. Chapter 7. The relentless focus on the next right step. Everyone wants the summit. Everyone wants the view from the top. The applause, the peace, the proof that it was all worth it. But here's the truth. You don't climb a mountain by staring at the peak. You climb it by mastering one footstep at a time. It's not about the summit. It's about the step. It's not about the finish line. It's about the next move forward. You have a choice. You can drown in the size of the mountain, or you can dominate the ground beneath your feet. That's the key. Ignore the summit. Master the next footstep. The biggest reason people quit isn't because the goal is impossible. It's because they're trying to swallow it whole. You start dreaming about building something massive, and within minutes your brain screams, it's too much. You look at the distance between where you are and where you want to be, and the gap feels infinite. That's when most people freeze. They confuse the size of the dream with the impossibility of the dream. But success doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from relentless inches. From taking the next right step when you don't feel ready. From refusing to let the fog stop you from moving forward. Think of it like climbing a mountain in the fog. You can't see the summit. You can't see 100 feet ahead, but you can see your boots. You can see the next rock, the next grip, the next inch of trail. That's enough. You don't need the whole map, just the next move. You don't need perfect clarity, just consistent motion. Every step compounds, every rep stacks, every single day you stay in motion, you're building proof. Proof that you're becoming the kind of person who finishes what they start. You don't need motivation. You need movement, because movement creates motivation, not the other way around. You want to build discipline? Then shrink your focus. Stop trying to predict the path. Start dominating the day. Ask yourself one simple question. What's the next right step? Not the next 10 steps. Not the 5-year plan. Just the next right one. Do that. And repeat. That's how mountains are climbed. That's how comebacks are built. The compass. Over the map. Here's the trap. People love maps. They love to plan, predict, and plot. They want the entire journey laid out before they take a single step. But life doesn't work that way. The terrain changes. The weather shifts. The map becomes outdated the moment you start walking. If you rely on the map, you freeze when it stops matching reality. But if you live by your compass, you adapt, you adjust, and you keep moving north. Your compass is your values. It's what you stand for. It's what you refuse to compromise. It's what you'll choose when the pressure's on. When you lead with your values, you never get lost for long, because your compass always points you home, to discipline, to purpose, to integrity. That's the key. You don't need to know the whole route. You just need to know your direction. When things get messy, and they will, go back to your compass. Ask yourself, does this decision align with who I said I want to be? Is this action building or draining my momentum? Am I moving towards strength or away from it? If the answer pulls you closer to your core, take the step. If it pulls you away, stop and correct course. The compass gives you agility. The map traps you in rigidity. When you follow your compass, you're flexible but focused. You can pivot without panic. You can adapt without losing direction. Because you're no longer chasing control. You're chasing consistency. That's what creates power. Not perfect plans, but unwavering principles. Aggressive patience. You live in a culture that glorifies speed. Everyone wants results now, success now, growth now, happiness now. But the truth, the people who actually build something lasting aren't fast. They're relentless. They practice what I call aggressive patience. Aggressive patience isn't passive. It's not waiting around hoping things will happen. It's showing up every day like a craftsman, fully aware this won't happen overnight, but determined to swing the hammer anyway. You keep chiseling, refining, shaping. You don't rush the process. You respect it. Every small action compounds. Every day of consistency builds pressure behind your momentum. Every ordinary day becomes a brick in something extraordinary. Small hinges swing big doors. That's not just a phrase. That's a law. You don't see the door move at first. You don't feel the progress right away. But every hinge, every habit, every step, every rep is building torque. Then, one day, the door moves. Not because of one massive push, but because of thousands of small, silent ones. That's how mastery happens. That's how breakthroughs occur. Quietly, gradually, relentlessly. You have to fall in love with being unseen, with doing the work when nobody claps, with trusting that momentum builds below the surface before it explodes above it. That's aggressive patience, moving like it's urgent, waiting like it's inevitable. Shrink your focus, expand your power. When your mind races, shrink the frame. When the goal feels too big, narrow the lens. Focus on the next conversation, the next workout, the next meal, the next call. That's all you can control, and that's all you need. You have a choice every morning. Panic about the mountain or master the step. Choose the step, because mastery of the small creates command of the large. When you win the next 24 hours, you win your life, one block at a time. The truth is, you don't need to see the top to climb. You just need to take the next right step. And then another, and then another. That's the quiet rhythm of real success. The world worships big leaps. But every giant you admire, every champion, every builder, every creator, won through tiny, boring, disciplined steps. They didn't obsess over 10 years ahead. They obsessed over 10 minutes ahead. They didn't chase intensity. They mastered consistency. That's the difference between dreamers and doers. Dreamers stare at the mountain. Doers climb it. Small hinges swing big doors. Closing transition. So take a breath. Forget the summit. Forget the timeline. Lock in on the next step, the next rep, the next right move. You don't need speed. You need stamina. You don't need perfection. You need persistence. You've mastered the art of patience in motion. Now it's time to master your protection in motion. Because progress isn't just about what you chase. It's about what you refuse to let drain you. Chapter 9, The Uncelebrated Grind. Fall in love with the process. Everyone wants the mountaintop, few want the climb. Everyone loves the success story. No, one wants the part before the story was worth telling. That's the truth about the grind. It's invisible, unglamorous, and thankless, but it's also sacred, because that's where you're forged. Not in applause, not in spotlight, but in the lonely hours when nobody cares. The world celebrates results, but results are just residues. They're leftovers from the process. The real transformation happens before anyone notices you exist. You see, there's a myth that poisons ambition, the myth of the overnight success. It's a lie that says talent, luck, or timing are what separate you from the greats. But the truth? The difference isn't luck, it's endurance. It's the willingness to keep building long after others quit. Look at any so-called overnight success and rewind the tape. You'll find years, maybe decades, of quiet failure, invisible work, and daily discipline. The musician who suddenly blew up, he spent 10 years performing to empty rooms. The entrepreneur who came out of nowhere, she spent a decade in debt learning every mistake possible. The athlete who made it, thousands of mornings in an empty gym when no one was watching. That's the real success story. Unseen effort. Uncelebrated grind. Because success doesn't appear. It accumulates. It's not magic. It's math. Every day you put in work, you make a deposit in the bank of your future. At first it looks like nothing's happening. No one claps. No one notices. But compound interest doesn't look like much until it suddenly does. That's the key. The grind always feels empty before it pays off. But the payoff always feels inevitable afterward. You have to be the kind of person who can believe before there's proof. That's the difference between amateurs and professionals. Professionals don't chase dopamine. They chase mastery. They understand one core truth. The doing is the reward. The outcome is the souvenir. Say that again. The doing is the reward. The outcome is the souvenir. Because the moment you fall in love with the process, you become unstoppable. You stop needing validation. You stop begging for results. You stop measuring yourself against people who only show their highlights. The process is the path, and mastery is the mindset that refuses to rush. Here's the brutal reality. If you only work when it's exciting, you'll never build anything that lasts. If you only commit when the world is watching, you'll never grow past mediocrity. Discipline is what you do after motivation dies. That's the crucible. That's the test. Every day you lay one brick, one rep, one page, one call. 1 hour of focus. That's it. Not the whole wall, just the brick. Because if you lay one perfect brick every single day, the wall builds itself. That's what most people miss. They want the castle, but they despise the bricks. They want the transformation, but they reject the repetition. But you can't shortcut the grind. You can't hack discipline. You have to become the kind of person who doesn't need shortcuts anymore. That's why the process matters. It's not just what builds your skill. It's what builds your identity. It's how you become the person capable of living at the level you dream about. You want peace? Earn it through consistency. You want respect? Earn it through results. You want mastery? Earn it through monotony. Because greatness isn't built on motivation. It's built on repetition. The process will bore you. It will test you. It will make you question if it's worth it. And that's exactly why most people quit. But that's also why the few who stay win. So when the excitement fades, when the numbers stall, when no one claps, remember, the doing is the reward. The outcome is the souvenir. Your grind isn't punishment. It's preparation. You're not waiting for success. You're becoming the person who can hold it. There's beauty in the boredom, there's power in repetition, and there's peace in knowing you're building something real. Even if nobody sees it yet, every day you show up, you're laying another stone in your legacy, and that's the kind of monument that doesn't crumble, because it was built brick by brick. So stop rushing your rise. Stop chasing the highlight reel. You're in the chapter that no one claps for, and that's the one that matters most. You have a choice: to grind or to gossip, to build or to beg, to stay steady or to stay stuck. Choose the grind, because the grind is what builds you when nothing else will. That's how you fall in love with the process. Not because it's glamorous, but because it's yours. Every second of pain, every unseen hour, every invisible effort, it's all part of your becoming. And when the world finally sees you, they'll call it talent, but you'll know better. You'll know it was just the process, uncelebrated, unrelenting, and yours. You've learned to love the grind. Now it's time to guard what it builds. Chapter 10. The Reveal. Let your results do the talking. There comes a moment when silence speaks louder than words ever could. After the grind, after the isolation, after the endless repetition that no one saw, there comes a point when the world finally notices. Not because you told them, but because they can't ignore you anymore. That's the reveal. Not a loud announcement. Not a victory speech. Just results undeniable, unshakable, unarguable. You didn't beg for respect. You built it. Understand this. The reveal isn't about revenge. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Because every day you stayed quiet, every day you stayed consistent, every day you stayed patient, you were preparing for this moment, the moment when your work becomes its own voice. That's the key. Your results speak. They testify louder than explanations, louder than apologies, louder than validation seeking ever could. You don't need their permission to shine. You don't need their approval to rise. Your transformation is your response. Think about it. When you walk back into a room that once dismissed you, you don't need to announce who you've become. They'll feel it before you speak. They'll see it in your calm. They'll hear it in your tone. They'll sense it in your control. You've outgrown the need to prove. That's what true power feels like. Quiet. Confidence anchored in reality. You no longer argue. You execute. You no longer explain. You exemplify. You no longer chase. You attract. This is the inevitable emergence. It's what happens when the truth you've been building in private becomes too strong to stay. Hidden. You didn't fake it until you made it. You forged it until it became you. You have to understand that when your consistency compounds, the results become impossible to ignore. The body transforms, the mindset shifts, the bank account changes, the energy evolves, and people will wonder how you did it, but they'll never understand the price. They won't see the mornings you wanted to quit. They won't feel the pain you turned into focus. They won't know how many versions of yourself you had to outgrow just to get here. And that's okay. They're not supposed to. Because this comeback, it was never for them. It was always for you. That's the truth you need to hold on to. When you let your results do the talking, you reclaim your power. You stop performing for approval. You stop over-explaining your worth. You stop begging people to see you. You become undeniable. This is what happens when you let your life speak, not your ego, not your frustration, Not your need to be seen, just your results. They carry a frequency words can't match. They radiate clarity, focus, mastery. You don't shout it. You show it. Think of it like this. A seed doesn't brag about becoming a tree. It just grows. In silence. In darkness. In stillness. And one day it breaks through the soil. That's the reveal. Nature's quiet triumph. No applause. No announcement. Just growth too powerful to stay buried. You're no different. Your process. Your grind, your healing, it was the soil, and now, what's emerging isn't luck. It's the inevitable result of discipline. You've become the person your past self needed. You've built the habits, the focus, the control that your old self couldn't sustain. You've created proof, and that proof speaks louder than your critics ever could. Now comes the real test. Staying grounded while you rise, because the ego will whisper, "Now they see you," but the discipline must remind you, "That's not why I did it." You didn't climb for attention. You climbed for alignment. You climbed because you had something to prove to yourself, that you could rebuild from nothing, with nothing, into something unshakable. That's the mindset of a true builder. You rise in silence. You reveal in silence. You reign in silence, because silence backed by substance is deafening. Let others chase the noise. You live in the proof, because the loudest one in the room is usually the one with the least to show. You're past that. You've evolved beyond the need for noise. You're not here to impress. You're here to express, through action, through standard, through energy. The comeback was never for them. It was always for you. Say it again. Let it echo until it replaces every memory of needing to be seen. The comeback was never for them. It was always for you. That's the final shift. You are no longer the one who was doubted. You are no longer the one who explained. You are no longer the one who waited to be chosen. You are the standard now. You are the proof. You are the living evidence that quiet consistency beats loud insecurity every single time. You've become the calm in the chaos, the grounded in the storm, the voice that doesn't have to shout, because your results already did. That's your power now. You don't need to say a word. The work already said everything for you, so walk into your next chapter with that quiet certainty. You've earned your peace. You've earned your strength, and you've earned the right to be still in your success. You mastered the process, you mastered the patience, and now you've mastered yourself. The comeback is complete. The noise fades. The results remain, because remember this final truth. The comeback was never for them. It was always for you. And there it is, the blueprint. The quiet comeback is not an event you wait for. It is a building you construct, brick by brick, in the silent, determined hours when no one is watching. You stop begging. You embrace the silence. You forge an unshakable core. You use their doubt as fuel. You take action. You own your scars. You focus only on the next right step. You rebuild your circle. You fall in love with the grind. And when you emerge, you let your results do the talking. The world that counted you out will look up, and they will see a different person. Not because you told them, but because you showed them. The training ground of silence has forged you into someone they no longer recognize. Someone unstoppable. So here is your challenge, and it starts the moment this ends. Make one decision. Take one action. Lay one brick. Today, right now. The quiet is over. The work begins. Go.